You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Offer sheet drama done. No Leon extension on the horizon. So we're back to having nothing to talk about. Let's get into it with the lead. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday. Tyler and Liam with you, streaming live all across the Oilers Nation platforms, however you choose to consume it. Special shout out to our podcast listeners as well. Leave us a review. Give us 5 stars.
Yeah, I wonder when the last review was.
Me too. No matter how you consume the show, we come to you live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online, sportscloset.ca. Chat's bumping a little bit too. Mike D is in. It's Danny Jansen Day, though, Tyler. Right now, Liam, Danny Jansen is making history.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
He is going to be the first MLB player to play for 2 teams in the same game. And if you're wondering, Tyler, how is that possible? I know we did talk about it a little bit at the end of last week, but Danny Jansen was a Blue Jay on June 26th. He was up to bat, and then the game got called because of rain. Since it was the last game of the series, they decided to make it up in August as part of a day-night doubleheader. So Danny Jansen, since then, has been traded to the Boston Red Sox.
Right.
So Danny Jansen started a game. The box score will read that he started the game as a Blue Jay, and then he will be pinch hit for in the game log on the Blue Jay side. Then on the Red Sox side, where I believe it'd be Reese McGuire was, he's going to be pinch hit for Danny Jansen. The game resumes with Danny Jansen's at bat, and he's down 0-1. Interesting, hey?
I mean, kind of cool, isn't it?
It's very cool. First time in MLB history it's happened. Another thing that's interesting.
It's the only sport it could happen in, right?
Pretty much, unless I think it happened once in basketball when a game was called due to a protest, and Shaq got traded to the other team.
Oh, really?
I think I've read that.
Was that the protest?
Huh?
Shaq can't go. Protest.
Hack-a-Shack. No. I don't know what the protest was, but I think it has happened at one other point in sports history. But yeah, like baseball is the only sport where a game would get canceled and get made up like 3 months later, I suppose, right? So there it is from John Boy. So he was hitting. He will catch against his own pinch hitter, which is just, again, a wild wrinkle to this whole thing. Another thing that's weird in this whole thing is there are a handful of Blue Jays who will play in this game but had not made their major league debuts yet on June 26th. So they will now technically have a game played that comes historically before their major league debut.
What a mess.
What a mess. I also, if you want me to, because again, it is August 26th, and we do have a lot of hockey talk that we're going to get to at some point. And I know you did not see this moment, but Cubs Marlins yesterday.
I did not.
I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone else, but I'm a baseball nerd, so I thought this was really interesting. Jesus Sanchez gets intentionally walked. Okay. So he's up to bat. He gets intentionally walked. He starts walking towards first base. As he's walking towards first base, the Marlins go, hey, we're pinch running for him. Christian Pache is going to run. So Christian Pache starts running to the dugout. Sanchez takes off his gear, starts walking to first, and then goes, I'm getting pinch run for. So he turns around, high fives the guy, goes to the dugout. Runner goes to first base, and the Cubs manager, Craig Counsell, smart, he knows the rules. He didn't touch first base after he was intentionally walked.
Oh, shoot.
So the Cubs appeal it. Pitcher steps off, throws to first. They touch the bag. The umpires come together. Yeah, is this the rule? It is. He's out.
Oh, God.
How do you put that into the official score in baseball? Because he was intentionally walked. He was pinch ran for.
But he didn't touch base.
But he didn't touch the base. So does the pitcher still get an intentional walk? Does the batter still get a walk? Does the pinch runner ever actually appear in the game if the batter he pinch ran for was out before he touched first base?
So what did they do?
I don't. I think he was scored out, and the pinch runner was out anyway. So the pinch runner came back, and then they had to redo the substitution. Pretty wild, though.
What
Hey,
a baseball. Hey?
baseball,
Who
man.
thought it? Just a couple of guys hitting the ball, running some bases in a square.
Pretty wild. Pretty
Now, here we
wild. You know what? Actually, there's a lot of other sports stuff to get to. So should we just start with the other sports report for once?
Sure. I feel
Okay.
like I've missed a lot. I don't know any of this.
All right, let's get into it. The other sports report is brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the promo code OILYBONUS to get in on a wide range of markets. Shout out to Bet365. All right. McDoust is Podkolzin pinch hitting. Great way to tie everything together. But Christopher Palmer said in the chat, CeeDee Lamb has ended his holdout with the Dallas Cowboys. He signed a 4-year, $136 million extension with the Dallas Cowboys. So that drama is over. It is another reminder as to why you never do your fantasy drafts before the preseason is done. Because if you would have done them a week ago, you might have been scared to take CeeDee Lamb in the top 5. Now CeeDee Lamb might be the second overall pick in your draft.
Have you ever had a moment like that where you do ever had a draft where you do it before the end of the preseason?
No, because I'm smart.
So the second year my friends and I ever did it, we were very new to it all. And somebody took Jordy Nelson. You guys may remember Jordy Nelson tore his ACL in preseason that year.
And he would have been like a top pick, right?
He was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And that year, ever since then, we've not done it. The draft is September 3rd for those curious.
The other piece of NFL news that came down this weekend is Nick Chubb is going to start the season on the PUP list, so he's out for the first 4 weeks.
Really?
But I think he's an interesting guy to take a flyer on late, especially if you do best ball drafts. So there's your fantasy football talk.
I'm a dynasty draft guy.
Really?
Yeah, I got we're in year 4 of our dynasty league.
So how did you start?
I did my rookie draft last night.
Yeah, so we have ours coming up. The first year I ever did, I think I had Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, a couple other guys. I can't remember. This year, I have my last year of Derrick Henry.
Oh, like it's a contract kind of thing?
Yeah. So we originally did 4 years, realized that was too long, reduced it to 3. But if you add the guys from the start, you still get them for 4. Makes sense in my own head.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Derrick Henry this year. Just not for me. Last year was so frustrating. It's like
he might get some good goal line chances with the Ravens, though. He might be the guy.
But the Titans built their entire offense around him. So I have I don't have a high pick. I was overall. What?
Danny Jansen. I know Maynard said no spoilers. This isn't really a spoiler, but Danny Jansen almost threw out a runner stealing in the first at bat of the game because there was a runner on first, which means
he would have thrown himself out.
Yeah, in an at bat that he started at, that at bat ended with him almost throwing a guy out at second base, which is hilarious.
That's very funny.
Super funny. All right.
What did LP put in there?
LP.
But the Bundesliga is back, and I had a fun weekend of soccer. I'm happy to be able to watch soccer again, but I can't wait for the NHL season.
What happened this weekend in footy?
Bolton, terrible performance against Charlton. So boring. We've scored 1 goal so far this season. 3 games. We're not even shooting. It's dreadful. Nothing else too major happened. I watched a little bit of Bundesliga. Leipzig versus Bochum, I think they played. My dad used to live in Germany, so he does have an attachment.
Troy, we're not doing a show anymore. Troy, this is the show, big guy.
This is the show.
Yeah, you better believe it. Liverpool won again from Kevy.
Yeah, well,
they
play at home.
It is the other sports report that we're starting the show with. Let's go to Edmonton, where the Elks held a lead over the Alouettes heading into the second half. They promptly blew that lead, but they were down 18-17 going into the fourth quarter, and they had a good chance at the end of that game to win it, honestly, on that 3rd and 10 play.
Do you know what? Like, are Montreal the best team in the league?
They are. They're now 10-1.
So to go into Montreal and put a performance like that together, like,
fantastic.
Credit to them.
Yep.
I'm glad to see the Elks have started to obviously turn around. I've spoken about them a few times now. But here's a fun little fact for you all. The Edmonton Elks are the lowest scoring 3rd quarter team in the CFL and have not scored a point in the last 4 third quarters.
Wow.
However,
that's a fact.
They are the highest scoring 4th quarter team in the CFL. So they really make up for it in the last.
That is
crazy. They're 3-1 and haven't scored a point in the 3rd in the last 4. That is doesn't make any sense. Also stupid.
Elks 3-8 heading into a Labor Day weekend matchup against the 4-6 Calgary Stampeders. So an interesting chance for the Elks to get back into the mix there.
Back to back. If they win these next 2 games, they jump Calgary.
They do. So
that's
again,
big.
And they're playing good football right now. So giddy up. All right, there you go. That is the Bet365 other sports report. Here's what else we got coming up on the show today. We got a little what's trending weekend recap that we'll do later on in the show. Anthony DeMarco is going to join us. You may remember him. He popped on, talked Flyers with us once, talked Eastern Conference deadline with us once last year. He is now a teammate of ours. He's joining Daily Faceoff for next season. So Anthony's going to swing by. We're going to talk a little bit about the Flyers. It's going to serve as our Metro Division preview that we've been slowly working our way through division previews here.
Extremely.
Well, we had, to be fair, we had a plan of how we thought our August and September shows were going to go, and they got totally derailed by the Oilers staying actually active and making news. So
thanks, Doug Armstrong.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. We were expected to just kick our feet up and chill. So we're going to talk with Anthony in about 10 minutes. We got a player grade coming up a little bit later on as well. But for now, let's get into our Sherwood Ford Giant offseason question, Liam. And it's going to tie into the news that the Oilers made last week. The Giant question, as always, brought to you by, you guessed it, our friends at Sherwood Ford. Calling all car enthusiasts, take your vehicle to the next level with Roush Performance upgrades available at Sherwood Ford. They offer an extensive selection of parts designed to unleash the full potential of your Mustang, your F-Series truck, or any Ford model. From superchargers, cold air intakes, suspension kits, and more, customize your ride for a truly exhilarating driving experience with the Giant Sherwood Ford. Our question today, Liam, and it's the title of the show: what are your expectations for next season for Vasily Podkolzin? So what I want to do here is I want to start with a safe play, okay? Let's talk safe. What is like a good, fair thing where 8 months from now, we're looking back at the regular season and we're going, that year was solid for Vasily Podkolzin?
I think a solid season would be he becomes an everyday NHL player.
And that's the baseline. If he plays 65 games next year, you're happy no matter what?
If going into the playoffs post-deadline, let's say he can be a consistent in the lineup, like he's earned his spot, you get into the postseason, and he gives you, I know Brown and Yaremchuk had really good like second halves of the playoffs, but like if he can give you a good round, then that's kind of my expectation for him.
Have a couple big playoff or good playoff moments and be a regular?
That's my goal.
So here are his numbers year over year in the National Hockey League. Rookie season, he comes in after spending a couple of years in Russia, where, to be fair, he played for SK St. Petersburg.
Who don't
They don't play their kids.
No, especially when they know they're coming here.
And that probably hurt his development quite a bit. He comes over to the NHL in 2021. He scores 14 goals, adds 12 assists, 26 points in 79 games. A solid rookie season.
Yep, definitely.
The next season, he splits it between Abbotsford and Vancouver. He only scores 4 goals in 39 games with the Canucks and actually only scores 7 in 28 with Abbotsford. So it wasn't like he was scoring at a 40-goal pace in the American League. Last season, he played 19 games with the Vancouver Canucks and did not score a goal. Down in Abbotsford, his numbers got slightly better as he scored 15 goals in 44 games. So roughly a goal every 3 games versus the year before it was just over a goal every 4 games, or just under a goal every 4 games. So he did take a step forward last year in the American League, 15 goals, 13 assists, 28 points in 44 games, as you can see on the screen here. But the NHL production fell off a cliff. He has 2 years on a deal that have an even $1 million cap hit. And this isn't an ELC or anything. This is straight salary. There's no bonuses that can affect this. He's going to be a $1 million player for the next 2 years for the Edmonton Oilers. Also, another thing that is important, MB put it in, I expect he'll be sent to Bakersfield at a training camp. He is not waivers exempt anymore, which is another reason why the Canucks ended up making this deal, because they didn't want to risk losing him for nothing if they didn't think he was going to crack the roster out of training camp. The Oilers, with Dylan Holloway out and Evander Kane hurt, kind of said, we got a spot for him here on the wing. He's listed as a right winger, but he does shoot left. So my presumption would be he could play as a left winger. The Oilers have a spot for him. I think he makes this team out of camp. And I'll say my fair expectation for him is double-digit goals, everyday NHLer. If he does that, and Quad's talked to us about his ability to kill penalties. We can touch on that in a second. But if he comes in and gives you, again, just 5-on-5 play, 10 5v5 goals, and bottom 6 minutes for 65 games, you probably look at that and go, decent deal to make. You're not upset with the trade if that's the result.
No, I was going to say, you asked me about my expectations. I think my high standard is he hits 10 goals. If he can give us a Klim Kostin year, then I think we'd all be pretty happy with that too. And we talked about, will he make the team? Won't he make the team? What one thing that could benefit the Oilers is two things to it in a weird way. One, he hits the ground running, and you have a $1 million forward that's playing really well. Two, you have a £1 million forward that couldn't hit a barn door, and you can put through waivers.
Yep, and the whole cap hit goes down.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter for them how it matters to them, but like kind of beneficial either way for them in a way you could say, depending on how he starts the season. So I think it's a good gamble. Is he Dylan Holloway? Not a chance yet, but I think he has the potential. Like we've heard about his physicality and what he's like on the forecheck. Like when he was playing for Russia in like those U18 tournaments before his draft year and like World Juniors too, like he was unreal. He was our best player. If he can just find some confidence and get his legs moving a little bit too, like I'm not this. The sky is the limit for him, I think. I mean, you're not picked 10th overall for a reason, but most 10th overall picks aren't traded 3 years after.
100%. Let's get to a couple of comments here. Mulek, he's produced more than Holloway, and that's correct. His best season to this point is better than Holloway's best season. Little older, but still.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Yep. Jason in. Canucks fan here. I don't think Vancouver gave him enough time in the top 6. Kid works hard, has a great attitude. I don't think there's a top 6 spot for him in Edmonton either, but I'll say the expectations now are different, where we're expecting him, again, 10 to 12 goals will be a solid season for Vasily Podkolzin. If we want to do the downside of this thing, the worst case scenario is he doesn't make the team out of camp. They put him on waivers and lose him. Pretty simple worst case scenario. Yeah. There also is another kind of worst case scenario where it would be more of like they put him on waivers. He goes down to Bakersfield. He struggles in Bakersfield and just goes back to Russia.
Yeah,
that is another possibility with this.
I don't think the Canucks would have traded him to Edmonton if there was a market for him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would get claimed if they put him through.
Team runs into injuries.
Maybe obviously circumstantial, but like, I mean, we all thought Raphael Lavoie was
untouched. Yeah.
The next great thing, and he made it through twice.
Yep. Mulek, I just need him to be a 13th player for this team. Maynard, Canucks claim him. LOL, which would be kind of funny.
Maybe.
That would be good. I just go, thank you. That was the plan all along. We're taking him right back.
Who did that? Wasn't it? Was his name Brooks?
Brooks Orpik?
No, was it Aaron Brooks or something like that? Like he was on Toronto, got claimed by Winnipeg, got put back through by Winnipeg.
Adam Brooks.
That was it. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Now let's do the fun one. What's the best case scenario with Vasily Podkolzin? I mean, let's list some of the positives here. 6'1", 190 pounds. I even think those measurements are a little out of date. I think he's a bit bigger than that. Scouting reports are he forechecks like a demon. He likes playing a little bit physical. Mm-hmm. We know he has the ability to finish chances. Quads came on our show and talked about how he killed penalties back in Russia. He should have that aspect of his game. So best case scenario for Vasily Podkolzin is, if he finds his scoring touch, best case, I'll say 16 goals, 35 points, and he's a penalty killer. That is my ceiling for, I don't think he's a 20-goal guy. I'll go a little higher. Best case, 18 goals. 18 goals, 38 points, and he's a penalty killer. That is his ceiling for me this year.
Mine is 15 to 20 goals, penalty killing. He's good enough you can trade Evander Kane and free up some cap space.
We're sitting here, we'll do 10 months from now, getting ready for next offseason, and we're going, the emergence of Podkolzin makes Evander Kane expendable.
Yeah. And you free up that $5 million, you go get yourself a better defenseman, whatever it may be. Maybe get more speed in the bottom 6. They kind of need him to work.
Yeah.
They really need that youth in that bottom 6. It's very present that the Oilers have moved out a ton of speed from that forward group.
Totally.
Not even Holloway. McLeod and Fogle were quick. And Mark and Brown aren't slow, but they're not. They don't have that elite speed that those guys have, and Holloway too. So I don't know what his skating's like. If he's a good forechecker, I would assume he's a pretty good skater.
Yeah.
He needs to be able to find that for this team, and they kind of need it right from the jump.
Yeah. I do, again, if you're blue skying things a year from now, Podkolzin at $1 million, if the Jeff Skinner experiment works out, I think your plan next summer is you look at a 2-year deal with Jeff Skinner. That's just probably the same money, if we're being totally honest. Like, even if it works well, I don't think he's going to get a bag anywhere else. And then, you trade out of the last year of Evander Kane. That's probably the way that goes. But if Podkolzin hits and you feel comfortable enough trading Kane and letting Skinner go as well, because maybe even confident enough in Savoy a year from now, which you absolutely should be. I said that too hesitantly. Savoy should be an NHLer 13 months from now. Impactful, playing in the league, producing. Then a year from now, you could be looking at a top 6 that is, again, this is things going well. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman. They're locks in your top 6. Nuge is a lock in your top 6. Let's even go top 9 then. Nuge is a lock in your top 9. Henrique will be a lock in your top 9. Arvidsson is a lock in your top 9. You need 3 more pieces. Could they be Podkolzin, Savoy, and
Noah Philp?
Connor Brown would be another option, right? He's on a 1-year deal right now, but would presumably be easy to bring back. Could Raph Lavoie work his way into that spot? Could it be a Philp? Less likely. How does Matvei Petrov progress in the next year? Who knows? They have a couple of options, but the point is that you're going to need to find a way to save money next year. And if Vasily Podkolzin and Matt Savoy can be in your top 9, that is gravy. That is so good. So helpful. When Draisaitl kicks up, probably $4 or $5 to $6 million, or $5 to $5.5 million. And when, $4 to $5 million, I should say. And then Bouchard's kicking up $6 million, going from 3.9 to 9.9. You're going to need to find ways to shave money, and getting out of Kane, having Podkolzin be able to step into the top 9, having Savoy on his ELC for 2 more years at that point, like, that's how you're going to be able to save money, is by having these young players hit, which again goes back to disappointing Dylan Holloway's not here. But if one of the main purposes or main benefits of having young players in your top 9 is that they're cheap, then you look and go, well, then matching Dylan Holloway, you're right, Oilers, that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
The goal of having young players on the team is to have them be good and cheap, not good or cheap. They're not in that spot as a team anymore.
Yeah, totally agree. And I mean, I think this is going to be a bit of a continuation for them every year to try and find that kind of upper talented player who just hasn't worked out on his team. That's like still younger, like a Podkolzin kind of guy, like the idea of Clem, like this Robage or Venti guy, like he probably projects to be a bottom 6 guy.
But again, if he's $800K on your 4th line and effective, then all of a sudden you're not worried about the fact you gave Janmark an extra $300,000.
Or it prevents you also too from having to, and I don't think this new management will do this, but like giving guys like Derek Ryan an extra year.
Yeah.
Or Devin Shaw.
I'll be honest, I love what he did in the playoffs, but like that Janmark contract probably isn't aging all that well. I think what could be their saving grace on that one is that as the cap goes up, league minimum goes up, and the max amount you can bury goes up. So like, you didn't want to let Janmark walk. I think he'll be good this season, although his last regular season wasn't great. But you could, by this time next year, if you're like, whoa, that season went to shit and Janmark stinks, which again, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm playing out a hypothetical here. If you're like, whoa, Janmark stinks, then you can bury most of it. Also, I forgot we were getting to a guest because I got too into the minutia of talking about burying cap hits. So that's on me. I'll wear that.
All good.
All right. There was our Sherwood Ford Giant offseason question. Shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. We have a guest joining us. We left him waiting a few minutes, so let's not waste any more time. The Star Mechanical guest line is brought to you by guess who? Star Mechanical. You can check them out online, starmechanical.ca, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Find out more about our friends at Star Mechanical by visiting them on the internet. www.starmechanical.ca.
The World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web, Liam. Speaking of the World Wide Web, it's what allows us to link up with our friend Anthony DeMarco, our friend and our coworker Anthony DeMarco. Welcome to the Daily Face-Off team, Anthony. How excited are you to get rolling next year?
Very much so. I'm finally able to say I'm not crossing enemy lines when I join you guys. So that's kind of a cool thing. But looking forward to doing this today and many more appearances this season, hopefully.
Absolutely. Maybe just tell people what to expect from you in your role at Daily Face-Off and what you'll be bringing to the site.
So yeah, mostly it will be league-wide content, but if you follow me for any extended period of time, you know that I kind of have a vested interest with the Flyers, but trying to broaden my horizons there. Obviously, I'm based out of Montreal, so going to take more of an interest in that market. Just tackle all and any type of storyline throughout the entire NHL, but I will say that you should expect a lot of Flyers heavy content here and there just because the inroads I have with that organization and the following that I've built up in the market. But again, like I said, hoping to broaden my horizons throughout the league.
Well, that is exactly what we're going to do today then. So let's get into it. The Philadelphia Flyers, their big offseason move is just simply the fact that Matvei Michkov is coming over. And when you look at the way last season finished, obviously it was with them on the outside looking in of the Stanley Cup playoff picture, but not by as many as what a lot of outsiders projected. Is just getting Michkov in that lineup enough to give them a push over the likes of Pittsburgh, Detroit, and then another playoff team? Or was there more to their offseason than just getting Michkov? Just give me a little breakdown of how you think he's going to fit in and how this Flyers team will look come training camp.
Well, I think he's going to fit in perfectly because if you look at their team up front, they basically swapped out Cam Atkinson for Matvei Michkov. And I think anyone would say that that is a massive, massive upgrade. And Matvei Michkov presumably is going to start on one of the top two lines. I would imagine he's probably going to start alongside Sean Couturier almost by default because they have no other centers, although Morgan Frost could be argued as a better option. But at least for the first time in a long time, you can look at this Flyers top six and say, like, there's a framework being laid out here, at least for the foreseeable future, specifically with the wings, with Konechny signed long-term, Tippett signed long-term, Michkov now here, as in a lot of ways the face of the franchise, maybe a bit premature to say, and Tyson Foerster having a very impressive rookie year. You kind of have an outlook of what this team's going to look like for the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that it will significantly improve them. How much, I'm not sure, because you look at the Eastern Conference, there's a ton of parity there. You look at the teams that are going to be right back in that bubble mix that are going to be looking to get over the hump, the Detroits, the Buffaloes, the Ottawas. Montreal just made a big acquisition with Patrick Laine. So I'm not sure if it's enough to get into the playoffs just because of how clustered it is in that the right around the 7, 8, 9, 10 spots in the East. But I certainly think they'll be right back in there and they won't hit such a wall late in the season offensively with Michkov coming over.
The team that wins the offseason rarely ever goes on and wins the Stanley Cup. And I think there's maybe a little bit of that going on in the East right now, where we've seen Washington Stanley Cup odds really shoot up. We've seen New Jersey finished with 81 points last year. And I think our friends at Bet365 have them at like 4th on the ranking for Stanley Cup odds. Like, again, the game's not played or won on paper. So maybe I'll ask, out of those teams that had busy off seasons, maybe we can loop Montreal in there, but I still think they're a bit too further back. But the main ones are kind of the Devils and the Capitals, I guess. Is there one of those that you're not buying on next year? You're scoffing at the hype, so to speak?
Well, like the Washington Capitals are certainly better. I like the additions they made. There's not a single move that I scoffed at. But do I think it moves the needle in any capacity? Not really. And I think it was our buddy Frank Cervalli who said that the race for the 8th seed in the East last year was a pillow fight. It was who was going to suck the least. And Washington evidently was the team who sucked the least. The Flyers sucked a lot. The Red Wings sucked a lot. They all sucked, but one team that sucked got in. Just because you get Pierre-Luc Dubois and you trade for Jacob Chychrun, you make some changes in your goaltending with your goaltending, I think they're better, but I don't think that they were a playoff caliber team to begin with. So I'm not really sold on what Washington did in the way of being a playoff team. Are they better than what they were last year? Yes. Did they get in last year? Yeah, but they also got really kind of embarrassed by the New York Rangers. And I think in a conventional year where you have teams playing to their capabilities in that playoff race leading up to the end of the season, we don't see Washington in. So while I like their moves and they are objectively a better team, I'm not really buying into them being like all of a sudden like one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference.
I'm with you. Like, I look at that forward group and I see a lot of pieces I like, but not a lot of pieces I love. Like Ovi. Okay, sure. You can pencil in Ovi for probably 35 to 40 goals again this year because that's what Ovi does. but gone are the days of penciling an Ovi for 55 goals, right? And Dylan Strome, I like him. Don't like him as a top line center. Pierre-Luc Dubois, that's a risk. Tom Wilson, I like him, but I don't like him as a top line winger. And you can almost just say that everywhere you go down the lineup, where it's like, I like this guy, but I don't think he's a driver. And like the blue line could be great. Absolutely. And with goaltending, Lindgren and Logan Thompson now, like they'll be fine there, but you got to score goals at the end of the day. And outside of Ovi, I'm not sure where their goals are going to come from. With New Jersey, I think that there it's easier to see a path of like Markstrom and Allen is going to be a very, where'd Anthony go? There he is. Allen's going to be a very good duo. A healthy Jack Hughes is going to help. I buy a little bit harder on New Jersey. One more for you, and Liam, if you got anything on the Metro, feel free. But who do you view as the best team in this division still? Is it just the Rangers? They won the division last year. Carolina didn't have a busy offseason, and they lost Teravainen. Like, who is the best team still in this div?
There's a lot of, I guess, right answers, but I picked New Jersey last year to go to the Cup final. Obviously, that blew up in my face. But I think New Jersey, honestly, because you're banking on the health of Jack Hughes. And as a former fantasy owner of Jack Hughes, I hate Jack Hughes right now. I'm kidding, obviously. But if Jack Hughes can stay healthy, I think he proved to be a top 10 center in the NHL. And they really reconfigured that blue line. You bring in Brett Pesce. You're getting back a healthy Dougie Hamilton. You have another year of Luke Hughes. You have another year of Simon Nemec. I like how that blue line is structured. Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton 2 seasons ago was one of the best top pairs in the NHL. Now you have a Luke Hughes who can play with a seasoned veteran like Brett Pesce. You bring in, I think they brought in Brendan Dillon as well, right? From the Winnipeg Jets. He's an ideal partner on that third pair for Simon Nemec. You completely overhaul the blue line, or not the blue line, the goaltending with Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen. I love that goaltending duo. You really not only get a starter, but you get a guy who can be kind of like that 1B in a pinch, be a starter for a run of games in Allen. And up front, I love that forward group. In terms of skill, I think that you could stand to add some more snarl, some sandpaper, but those are pieces you could get towards the trade deadline, like we saw with the Vegas Golden Knights adding a Barbashev, or the Lightning a few years ago, or several years, where they always seem to add sandpaper. But I think the framework of the Devils is there for a cup contender, right down the middle with Hughes, Hischier, and Eric Haula. I love what they did on the blue line with the ads of Pesce and Brendan Dillon to pair with their young defensemen, and obviously overhauling what's going on in the crease. So I really like the New Jersey Devils as the best team right now. And I think that they would have had a chance to be that last season had they just got NHL adequate goaltending.
What are your expectations for the Penguins this season? Ooh. They are a different kind of team, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, different is a very nice way to put it. I mean, color me, I guess, not surprised that I'm not cheering in the streets for the Kevin Hayes acquisition. I think you're kind of treading water with the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. I mean, they bring in Cody Glass, who I guess is a buy low option. I mean, I think his potential has kind of run its course. I think he is kind of what he is, but hey, why not take a chance on him? Crosby is Crosby. Malkin is Malkin. You still have Brian Rust. You still have a lot of the same faces there. I think the defense will probably look a bit better. You know, you have Ryan Graves back there with an Erik Karlsson. You have Chris Letang with Marcus Pettersson. You kind of have a new look third pair where you see a guy like P.O. Joseph move on. The goaltending is more or less the same with Tristan Jarry and Alex Nedeljkovic. I mean, I think they finished, 10th or 11th in the East last year. I expect them to be somewhere in that realm again. Nothing they really did move the needle. You know, the first summer of Kyle Dubas, he was very busy, and you kind of had some hope. I at least did. I think Michael Bunting, a full year among Michael Bunting, will help this team. His straight line speed certainly will, but nothing astronomical enough to move the needle for them. And I think they'll be right back in the lower end of the Eastern Conference.
It's an interesting conference to look at, because even when you go to the bottom, like, again, I don't think Montreal is going to be that good next year. No. They were a 76-point team. They wrote a ton of loser points. I think that balances out, but they'll win a few more games. They'll be right back in that range. I think Columbus, again, not a playoff team, but full season of Zach Werenski. You add Monahan. They're going to play the kids this year with Dean Evison. There should be less drama there. They should be a bit better than that. I think the East is just going to be random. I think there's going to be a lot of nights where, like, even a team like the Islanders, like, I hate the Islanders, and you look at their forward group, and it's just like so painfully average looking. Everything they do is average, but they have Ilya Sorokin, so it's like, okay, they're going to win some. They're going to win some games. I think he'll be better than he was last year. I think the East is just going to be totally random. I think there's going to be 1-goal games that really swing things. Teams will go on 5-game heaters and 5-game losing streaks, and I really do think, man, like 1 through 16. I think it's going to be hard to predict. And if you want to talk betting too, I think it's going to be hard to predict and wager on the East from night to night because it's just mushy.
Well, guys, let me ask you this. When you look at the Eastern Conference, how many teams can you say with a shadow of a doubt are not going to have a sniff at the playoffs? I would say 2 or 3.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. I mean,
3.
Ottawa had 78 points last year. They're 3 back at Jersey. Like, they should be, and they've all marked now. Like,
Columbus
I think it's 2.
Montreal
It's 2.
sure.
Yeah, it's 2.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
It's those 2. And specifically in the Atlantic Division, you have 7 of the 8 teams that want to be in the playoffs. Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa, they all have been wanting to get over that hump for 2 seasons now. And the top 4 teams in that division with Florida, Tampa, Boston, Toronto, they're not going anywhere. And then you look at the Metro Division, I think you could say more teams like Columbus, Philadelphia, Washington, Pittsburgh likely are on the lower end. But then how many of those teams have a chance of it? Washington, Philly, and Pittsburgh have an outside chance of sneaking into a wild card spot, as opposed to when you look at the West, San Jose, Anaheim, you could write off right away. Utah will probably be better, but are they a slam dunk to be a playoff team? You look at the Chicago Blackhawks, they're probably not a playoff team. I just find that when you look at the West, you could write off 5 or 6 teams almost right off the bat, as opposed to in the East, you're looking at 2, maybe 3 that you could write off. And that's the difference, that you have more highly loaded teams or top loaded teams in the West, but there's that steep drop off. Like, when did the playoff race for the Western Conference end last year compared to the Eastern Conference?
Yeah. I mean, we knew it was, there's 3-4 weeks left in the season, and it was like, okay, St. Louis probably doesn't have a miracle in them. So
we kept pretending that St. Louis and Minnesota had a chance.
You kept
I kept pretending. I wanted to believe, but it's like a few years ago, right, when the East was basically shut down by Halloween.
January, yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the West then. Again, that divide was a big one between 8th and 9th, and then the rest of the conference below there. Do you give any one of St. Louis, Mini, Calgary, Utah, Arizona, Anaheim, Chicago, San Jose, do you give any one of them a shot at getting in next year? Who is the best chance, I guess, of, I think it's taking over for LA, but taking over for someone?
I like what Utah did. I like the ads that they made on the blue line with Mikhail Sergachev and John Marino. That was the defenseman they got, right, of New Jersey, I believe it was. Yep. So I like that. You add some experience back there. We're going to see what Sergachev could do as an undisputed star, number 1 defenseman, pairing presumably with a Sean Durzi. I like their goaltending with Vejmelka. And I think they have a lot of players up front with untapped potential. Like, we know what Clayton Keller is capable of. We're going to see what Logan Cooley could do in a sophomore season. And I just think that Pacific Division, aside from the Golden Knights and the Oilers, is really wide open. Like, the Kings don't inspire me a whole lot. The Canucks, for me, I mean, from year to year, I don't know what kind of Canucks we're getting, a playoff team or a complete tire fire. I think Calgary is still going to be on the outside looking in. San Jose and Anaheim don't have a shot at it. So I think Utah, especially with a brand new ownership group who is not afraid to spend money. I actually like what Bill Armstrong and that hockey operations department has done since getting in charge there in 2020. I really think Utah has a chance here, not only with their offseason acquisitions, but what they could possibly do throughout the season with how much draft capital they could use as ammunition on the trade market. And just, I think they still have loads of cap space at their disposal. So I think Utah's in a really good spot here to sneak into that 3rd spot in the Metro, because I do think in all likelihood, you'll probably see 5 teams making it out of the Central Division. Although you can never count out Vancouver, because I just really don't know what to expect from them year to year.
Yeah, that's fair. Outsider's perspective. Do you have another one? You have anything else from the West?
I was just going to say, I think Vancouver this year's New Jersey Devils.
Thatcher Demko's not healthy already.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't even started the training camp and Thatcher Demko's hurt.
I just had that feeling about them.
Yeah. Fair. I want your outsider take on the Edmonton Oilers. They had a busy offseason. There are a lot of names out the door after coming within one win of a Stanley Cup. Coming in are guys like Arvidsson and Skinner. I don't think there's any questions about the top six. Blue line, maybe some question marks, but how do you view what the Oilers got up to this summer?
Well, I think they're the odds-on favorite at this point to be the Stanley Cup favorite going into the season. I mean, I think that they rightfully should be in that spot. You have the two best players in the world up front. I like the acquisitions of Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson. I think those are the exact type of players that will flourish in a top six role, playing with the likes of McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Even the bottom six, like Podkolzin, is a very good shot on. I think that he has a lot of untapped potential, and it would not shock me at all if he finds a spot in the top six sooner rather than later. You still retain some veterans in that bottom six with Perry and Adam Henrique, Derek Ryan. You have some good role players, and I like keeping those guys because those are veterans who know their roles. I know a lot of people like to just litter prospects all over the lineup, but when you have veteran players who have played specific roles in deep playoff runs like the Oilers have in their bottom six, I think it's very important. They're not expecting anything more, and they're completely bought in. Obviously, the blue line is a bit of a red flag for me, but I really like that top pair of Bouchard and Matthias Ekholm. I think this is a season where we may see some Norris consideration for Evan Bouchard. I think he really came into his own last year. It was his first full season with Matthias Ekholm, right? So you have 18 months playing beside Matthias Ekholm. Darnell Nurse obviously will have a new partner this year. Is it going to be a Brett Kulak on the right side? I guess you guys could actually fill in that blank more. Who do you project to be his partner going into the season?
Troy Stetcher.
Yeah.
Troy Stetcher. So, well, you guys have some cap space, right? After losing out on Broberg and Holloway. So, I mean, maybe you could search for a guy like that on the trade market. So the blue line is certainly something that will have to be bolstered between now and the trade deadline. I'm sure Jeff Jackson and Stan Bowman are completely aware of that need. And in goal, I mean, it worked last year with Skinner. Why not go back to the well? I mean, don't fix something that isn't broken, and it certainly isn't broken with Jeff Skinner and the goaltending outlook for the Edmonton Oilers. So I think right there with the Vegas Golden Knights, they're going to be jockeying for top position in the Pacific Division, and will likely be in the Western Conference Final.
Anthony, appreciate your time, man. Excited to have you over on Daily Faceoff. Excited to have you on the show throughout the year. So enjoy the rest of whatever's left of summer, and then we'll see you at the Christmas party.
Appreciate it, boys. Take it easy.
See you, Anthony. There you go. Anthony DeMarco joining us at Daily Faceoff. We are all owned by the same people.
All of us are owned by one man.
One company.
One company.
One beautiful Danish company.
Great.
That trades on the Swedish Stock Exchange.
All makes sense.
It all lines up. There you go. Star Mechanical guest line. Shout out to our friends at Star Mechanical. Let's get to what's trending for our friends over at the Millwoods Golf Course. Private club conditions for under $100. You get that at the Millwoods Golf Course. Some of the best greens in the city. I think pound for pound, the best pro shop in the city as well. Millwoods Golf Course is a beautiful spot, and we cannot wait to be out there this Friday for the Oilers Nation Open. The auction ended. We ended up, and I'll explain this whole thing more on Real Life. We ended up talking to the two guys who were swinging big on that auction, and Ryan and Cody. We ended up making a deal. We raised $5,000 for Gregor's grads through that auction.
Yes.
So unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable generosity from those two. Oilers Nation Open happening this Friday, presented by Star Mechanical and Oodle Noodle, and all in support of Gregor's grads out at the Millwoods Golf Club. Here's what's trending. The number one trend on Twitter right now, Liam, is National Dog Day. And I'm here to say stop. This happens, and people are doing this every 3 months. There is National Dog Day. There is International Dog Day, National Puppy Day, International Puppy Day,
National Pet Day.
National Pet Day. You can just put, if you want to post a picture of your dog, post one. Just post it. We do not need to do National Blank Day every 3 months. Leonard, adorable, love him. Post a picture of him whenever you want, and that's fine content by me. But like, all of it is, it's too much. I hate all this hashtag national whatever.
You have a dog?
No, I don't.
You would have thought.
That's the answer right there.
I don't particularly like dogs.
Well,
Which is maybe another side of it.
Shit.
Ugh.
It is annoying.
Yeah.
Anything else, Trent? Danny Jansen. Oasis, are you making a comeback?
I had that written in the notes. How excited are you as an Englishman?
As a Mancunian, which is where Oasis are from.
And you're from there too.
I am also from there. My name is also Liam.
Oh yeah, he's a rock star.
Yeah, they're quite much more significant than I think a lot of people realize they are. They kind of changed a lot of the way music is, and I don't know what they're gonna come back and do. Sometimes I just wish these guys would just retire, but I think these are like a different one. But like these old bands bring back albums, and it's like it's just not the same as what it was. Like they're not classics, you know. So maybe they become it, but yeah, Oasis are good. I love Champagne Supernova. Don't Look Back in Anger. Obviously, Wonderwall's a hit. When I was born, Oasis were playing across the street at Main Road, which is where Man City used to play. So there you go. You like Oasis?
I know Wonderwall. I don't think I can name you another song. I just looked.
They're one of those bands that if you play the music, you've probably heard it before. What's everyone's favorite Oasis song?
Champagne Supernova.
Yeah, that's
for
a good
sure.
one. Oh, Tyler's playing the music.
Yo, copyright.
So take away that one. Yeah. Oasis is so horrible. You're all uncultured.
Whoa.
It's a shot at Liam.
Yeah, they're a big English band.
Yeah. Okay. They're coming back. What else is trending? I'm not
Which
sure.
is actually insane because those two guys hate each other and they're brothers. They are not friends at all.
But now they're okay. Why else would they be getting back together?
They've broken up like 3 times.
Yeah.
Which
Is weird to
Yeah,
not get
no.
along with your brother.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't know. I don't have one, but
I don't
it
have
would
one
be
either,
weird.
So yeah, it'd be weird. Drake dropped 3 new tracks.
3.
His next album is going to be unbelievable.
It's fire.
Really?
This beef has awoken him to like another level. It's sick. His new music bangs, so shout out to Drake. All right, there you go. That's what's trending for our friends over at the Millwoods Golf Course. Last thing we got to do before we wrap up the show, Liam, is a player grade for today.
Yeah.
So let's give the people what they want. Summer's not over, so why not head over to Sherwood Power Sports and Marine? Still time to get in a boat. Still time to get on a water. Still time to go fishing. Summer does not end, in my eyes, until October. That is when I go from summer to fall and to hockey season and sports season. But until the end of September, I do outdoor activities. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine can help you no matter what your outdoor activity is. E-bike, scooter, anything like that. They got you covered. All right, Corey Perry is our player today.
Yes, he is.
We got a regular season grade, we got a playoff grade, and we have chance of being in the lineup or being on the roster for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Regular season, I actually gave him a B-. He scored at nearly a 20-goal clip since coming over to the Oilers. 12 goals in 54 games. That's good. 22 points. That's, again, a 35-goal pace. He came in for nothing. Good vet. All that stuff. Also, great picture, Liam. 12 goals, B- grade. Playoffs, he gets a C. I could have gone lower.
I actually can't believe you went that high.
I should have gone D. I regret it now.
F.
Yeah, he failed in the playoffs. That's
He was
totally a
really
fair.
bad. He was their worst player by a significant margin. 1 goal,
1 goal,
1
2
goal.
assists, 1 goal, and it was a tap in that Connor McDavid walked through 4 guys to set him up
that's
for.
right. Arguably the goal of the
That was
playoffs.
his only goal in the playoffs.
He had the other moment too where the puck was cleared off the line, but he should have bared down and scored that goal.
Yeah.
I just can't even believe they brought him back for the money he did. Regular season, I had a lot of hope that he was gonna. I don't even know what I wanted him to do, to be honest. But his most significant moment in the playoffs was a goal that everyone thinks Connor McDavid actually scored. And the other one was holding his stick up to Brock Besser's face.
Yeah, like we didn't even, he was so non-impactful in the playoffs. I needed to go lower than C. It should have been a D-.
I'm F-. I'll give him a B+, a B for the regular season. Hey,
thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
And
seamless.
Yeah, Sergeant Battle, not enough ratness. I agree. He needed to be more of a rat. Perry was not good in the playoffs. Not good at all. What are your expectations for him next year? Because despite the fact he was not good and was getting healthy scratch and only scored 1 goal in 19 games in the playoffs, the Oilers gave him $1.15 million, which in hindsight, you look back and go, probably could have given that to Dylan Holloway, so that was a mistake.
Yeah. I don't think he starts opening night of the playoffs. I don't think he'll be on the 12.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I actually think if he is, we probably have a bit of a problem.
If he is,
Or he scored 25 goals
He already
this year.
had a good season. If he gets 25 goals, I'll do an entire show upside down.
We'll hang you from the roof?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
Like a
figure it
bat?
out.
Clipping this.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no way.
Yeah. Maynard, will he actually suit up for Bakersfield when he's sent down? That's a great question as well. If it wasn't for the McDavid goal, I wouldn't have remembered he played. Exactly, Christopher Palmer. I think that's a great point.
We didn't even think he scored that goal.
I know.
Like, if you go back and like ask people, like, what was your favorite moment? And people are like, oh, that is McDavid's goal against Florida. You're like, what are you talking about? And be like, oh, that I was actually an assist to Corey Perry.
Yeah. So there you go. Corey Perry is a depth guy. So there you go. Shout out to Corey Perry. We'll continue with the player grades later on this week, brought to you by our friends at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Well, we somehow jumped all the way up to number 90. Oh, so it was supposed to be Holloway was next, but then obviously before we got a chance to get to his player grade, he got traded. We didn't do James Hamblin. We skipped him. On the blue line, who do we have?
He could make the team for the first half of the year.
And no, he can't.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
Did we do Troy Stetcher?
No, we didn't. We skipped him. So we're done with defensemen. We've done all 6 D-men. We skipped Skinner. We got to do Skinner tomorrow.
Okay, I'll go back.
Or Wednesday.
I never even realized how far we had jumped ahead.
Yeah, Skinner is Wednesday. Skinner, I'm putting in the notes.
Something else was trending.
Skinner is Wednesday. Oh,
Ted Lasso is coming back for season 4.
that is correct. I gave up on it 3 episodes into season 3. It got too much. It wasn't good.
It became a bit too political for me in the last season, but they had a fantastic finale. The last couple episodes were really fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just very annoying. It's like, okay, we get it. You're really slamming this stuff down our throats right now. But everyone thought Jason Sudeikis wasn't going to come back. It's looking like he's going to come back.
How could you do the show without him?
They were going to do like a spin-off show.
Okay.
Like it was going to be still like the team, but like about other things. So like,
would they have called it Ted Lasso?
No. I don't think it would have been called Ted Lasso.
Welcome to
whatever
Richmond.
It would have been. Yeah, Richmond. No, it would have been a good name. But now Jamie Tartt apparently isn't coming back, which is kind of crazy to me.
Interesting.
Because I don't know what else that guy has done. So he can't be that busy. So that's disappointing. Let us know if you're excited for Ted Lasso. I am. I thought it was a fantastic show and made me really want to visit London, ironically.
You've been before?
I'd never been before.
You've never been to London?
I have now, but before Ted Lasso, I had never been. I've been once. And I went to a soccer game.
Too.
I went to see Arsenal and I left. I said I'd never. And I saw Big Ben last summer. That was the first time I'd seen him.
Wow, that's really stunning.
Yeah, there you go.
Dacky gave a plug to Eastbound and Down. I think I want to watch that too. I've somewhat gotten into it before. I've never started to back it. Okay, I do need a new like before bed show. So, all right, good stuff. I think that's a wrap on today's edition of the show. That flew by.
Yeah,
what?
I was gonna say. We can talk about it after, but Big Brother, did you watch it?
Didn't watch it yesterday.
God damn
I know.
it.
I'll watch it tonight.
Angela had the stupidest moment again.
Oh, well, that's not surprising.
She's
all
so
right.
annoying.
That is a wrap on today's edition of Oilers Nation Every Day. Yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday. We'll have a guest or something. And then Friday, we're doing a bright and early show from the Millwoods Golf Course. That is going to be a lot of fun. So busy week coming up this week. Make sure you turn into the shows. And that is all. Have a good week. Oil up.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation Every Day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.